Good afternoon. This is Ryan O'Neill with Inform Magazine, and you are in focus. Today we are at the AC Hotels in Buckhead at Fifth Plaza, which we are grateful that they allow us the time to interview our guests. And today we have Miss Kendra Turner.
Hey.
How are we doing?
I'm doing great, and yourself?
Great, thank you so much. Ms. Turner is the founder of the I.AM.S.O.D.A organization. Ms. Turner, can you tell us a little bit about that organization?
Yes, I.AM.S.O.D.A is Survivors of Domestic Abuse, which I founded in 2015 after coming out of an 8-year abusive marriage.
Wow. So with I.AM.S.O.D.A, do you have a lot of support from your family and friends?
Yes, I have a lot of support from family and friends. Actually, I was just in Chicago about 2 weeks ago. My family rented a Sprinter, and they all came. They made me feel so important.
Oh, wow.
And they all came to, give their support. I think they filled up pretty much the room, and it was amazing. I had a really good time because they never get to see me speak in the same state as them. And so for them to be able to come and share in it, it was a great experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my question is, with the onslaught of domestic abuse and domestic violence just kind of taking a height,
yes,
now that we have the present administration in the White House, and for some reason there is a heightened sensitivity as far as what we've seen.
Right.
How does I.AM.S.O.D.A address that, and who is your audience that you speak to concerning that?
My audience would be men, women, and young girls. And I want to include young boys too, because it starts at an early age. It's a learned behavior. So I feel that, yes, it's always geared towards the women, but people tend to forget about the perpetrator, getting him the help that he needs as well. My thing is, I did a forum at Jackson State University where we had the guys and we had the girls, which I had never done a forum like that before, which was really cool because I was able to hear their perspective on violence. Had they grew up in the home, and some of them grew up in the home where they saw violence against their mom. So you got to catch them early. I think there's things when women would say, "Oh, if he hits you, he likes you." No, we can't, we can't say that, because you've heard, growing up, your mom would say, or, you hear women say, well, if he hits you, that means he likes you. And that's not a good analogy.
It's not coming to an adult set of ears.
Exactly.
I've not heard it. I don't know that there was an instance where I was immediately or exposed to it front and center.
Right.
But that sounds crazy.
It does. It sounds crazy.
Sounds crazy.
With my ex-husband, he grew up in a household where he saw violence. His stepfather was abusing his mom for many, many years. But my thing is that he had a 50-50 chance. Either, if you saw the things your mother went through, why would you want to do that to your mate?
Yeah.
You talk highly of he spoke highly of his mom and the things they went through. So my thing is, then why? Why would you want to do that if you saw what your mother went through? And then he has daughters as well. Yeah.
So had you had any conversations with his daughters?
Yes, and the thing is that the daughters were like, oh yeah, that's my dad. He's done that to my mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it was more of a growing behavior as opposed to just a learned behavior.
Absolutely.
He grew into that.
He grew into that.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yes.
That's very heavy.
Yes.
So now, have you ever counted a ratio of men to women who follow you because of the seriousness? Mm-hmm. From what you're explaining to me, it seems like it's more of a problem where a man should be addressed as opposed to the woman because she's a victim.
Yes.
But how many men as opposed to women follow you and follow the message?
Of course, I have way more women than men. But the men that do follow, I get a lot of support from them. A lot of times I get messages, just encouragement, like, hey sister, I see you, I'm behind you 100%, how can I assist, So I do get the support from them. I would love it for it to be more. What I'm trying to get people to understand is that, the first thing people say is, why did she stay? And I don't think that should be, that's a horrible question. That's not even important. The question should be, I always say there's two questions. The first question I would say is, how did she survive? Because surviving is a skill. It's not easy to survive any situation because there's a lot of thinking and maneuvering, and you have to manipulate and when you're surviving. And then too, how about what was wrong with him? No one ever asked. The only person who ever asked me that, and that was a few months ago, I went to the doctor, and I was at the doctor regarding my knee because my ex-husband had pushed me down a flight of stairs a few years ago, and my knee was broke. And so I went to the doctor, and I was telling him I was having some problems, and he said, well, what happened? And it was kind of like, I got to relive that because I have to tell him what happened. And I kind of was like, it was a weird feeling because I was like, I got to go back there. And as I'm explaining to him, and I'm kind of, I'm watching him, and he didn't say anything, and he walked out the room, and he came back. He said, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. What was wrong with him?
Wow.
And I was like, no one has ever asked me what was wrong with him. The thing people would say is, well, why did you stay so long? Or why did you do this? It was all on the victim. Why wasn't it addressed to what was wrong with him? No one ever addresses him. It's always the victim.
I agree with you, and that goes to the point that I made just a moment ago, where the more important factor of abuse should be the male or the abuser.
Yes.
Because we know that women abuse as well.
Absolutely.
It's just astounding to hear that in that long amount of time, no one kind of focused it, and it just came out of my head to say, okay, well, we know that the woman is the victim,
yes,
but for the abuser, what's the medicine?
Yes.
How can we cure or how can we address the victim? So with that in mind, do you have a message that disseminates man or woman, or does your message go out to your audience?
To my audience. Okay. It goes out to my audience. I don't try to I don't point fingers at anyone. I would really encourage those men who were once abusers to contact me because I want to hear their story. I want to hear the whys. We have so many questions as to why. Why did you? It's not to beat up on them. It's not to attack them. It's because we need to have a better understanding of what made you. Is it something that you saw? Is it something that you learned? And what was your point where you said, you know what, this isn't cool. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And I look at a lot of times those men have daughters. And then, you come from a woman. So why would you want to hurt? So, and then also you got to think, was it the relationship between the mother, did they have a bad relationship? Is there some type of resentment towards the mother? Those are a lot of things you got to look at. So, I encourage the men to be active in domestic violence organizations, coming out to speak and showing their support because we really need the support of them. Every event I went to, the room is filled with women.
Wow.
Filled with women. And you may get a man here or there, but he's there to show support with whomever, his wife or girlfriend, he's with.
So do you think the reason that your audience and your venues are filled with women is because of the way media portrays abuse? Like it's in a huge bucket with a lot of other stuff, and you see abuse just kind of pop its head out in any form, whether it be domestic abuse, whether it be any kind of other abuse. Just the word abuse pops its head out. So the media has kind of put it into a bottle to say, okay, it's just abuse.
Yes.
So do you believe that this is one of the reasons that only women show up more to your events?
I would think so. I want to point out that people think of domestic violence, they think of physical. That's the first thing people think of. And it's way deeper than that. There's mental, there's emotional, there's financial. I just had a lady tell me yesterday, I didn't know anything about financial abuse. There's
today, in this age?
Yes, she didn't even think of it as being abuse. You have, I guess you want to call technology abuse. Regulating your phone and your laptop. Trying to see, what have you been searching? Things like that. It's way deeper than just the physical. And I tell people, the emotional and sometimes verbal is worse than the physical. The physical scars go away. When you're dealing with all the emotional and verbal, that's a lot to deal with.
I agree.
That's a lot.
I totally agree. And they don't make it any better by just putting the spotlight on the physical.
Exactly.
And it's just tragic. It's tragic. It's hard to hear. I don't want to take you too far back into reliving.
Oh, I'm fine with that. That doesn't
Okay.
bother me at all.
Okay.
No, it does not.
So tell me, what was your aha moment during or in the ending or near?
Okay.
What was your aha moment to say, you know what, this is not right for me?
I have been feeling like I'm tired. I'm done. I'm ready for this to be over. It was more of a financial thing too, because people say, well, why did she stay? And a lot of times it has to do with financial reasons. I was in the state of Georgia with no family here. So I'm here like, where do I go? I didn't really have to work. He didn't require me to work. It was like, you know, if you work, your money is your money. If you don't work, that's fine. He was a truck driver. He made very good money. So we were pretty comfortable, you know, so to speak. And my moment was just one day, he went out and well, let me just go into this besides the violence and everything else, but he cheated the entire marriage several times. And, you know, again, that was those moments like, you know, I'm just tired of this. Like, come on, let's just be done. You know, I was asking for a divorce. And it would always be some reason why we had a fight. I remember seeing a lady that him and I both knew at the grocery store not too long ago. And she was talking to me, asked me how I was doing, and she said, yeah, she said, I know you guys used to get into it all the time. And I said, excuse me?
Oh my God.
And I said,
the things people say sometimes.
I said, well, where did you get that from? Well, he said, see, that's the problem.
He said.
See, and I'm trying to get people to understand, you're dealing with a con artist, you're dealing with a manipulator, you're dealing with a sociopath, you're dealing with the narcissist. You got a whole bunch of different personalities in this person. So of course he's going to portray that she's this terrible woman, because I was always prejudged before meeting people. So people will be like, oh, yeah, she do got a bad attitude, she's nasty. Well, do you know why? Do you know I just was cussed out before I came here? Do you know what's going on in my home? Do you know I'm being abused? Yeah, you would have an attitude too. So now I'm trying to prove myself, you know, to show these people, no. And I had a few women contact me after the fact and apologize to me. Kendra, I'm sorry. He had us thinking this, and that. We had no idea. So, you know, then I was kind of thinking, like, as a woman, I felt like y'all should have been on my side. Regardless of what he was saying, you know, why didn't you come to me? Even though they were his friends, but, you know, no one's going to make up being abused. Who would make, you know, why would you make that up? It's already the stigma behind it. That's the first thing. Why would I want to tell people, yeah, I'm being abused, but it's a lie? That makes no sense. So I just, you know, people started, once I broke my silence on Facebook. I just sat down and started typing out everything that had happened. And I got great responses from people. I got women that were like, I don't want to tell nobody yet. And I'm like, why are y'all being silent? Like, you gotta speak that. That's your truth. So you let him walk around like he ain't did nothing wrong, and you're holding on to that. So you're just stuffing. And then I always reference to wearing a mask. So we put that mask on every day, and we come out pretending to be okay. And I did that for 8 years. You know, I have a thing where I say secrets keep you sick.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to keep stuffing this, and I'm going to hold on to this. No, I speak about this all the time. I just had someone recently tell me, that's all you talk about is soda. Yes, because that's a part of me.
Okay.
And if you can't hang with that, then I'm sorry, because that's a part of me. That's who I am. Because you have to understand who I am. You may not understand why I may react to certain things that you do or certain things that you may say. Like, I don't like arguing. I hate it, because I did that for 8 years and listened to a man yell and scream all the time. That's probably why I'm single. I don't want to argue with anyone. And, you know, the person was yelling. I was like, hey, you know, I don't do the yelling thing. You know, well, everything is about soda. Yes, everything is about soda, and everything will continue to be about soda, because soda is who I am. That's who I am. If you can't understand certain things, then you're probably not for me. You know, people always say, well, how do you feel about dating? You know, will you date again? Yes, but the person has to be understanding of my feelings. You have to know my triggers. That's all a part of me. Not, people sometimes think, oh, better women are crazy, and you gotta handle. Yeah, you may have to be a little bit sensitive with us. You may have to be a little bit more understanding and patient. That's the whole concept behind the soda cans. My logo is the 2 soda cans standing up, and they're bent. And then you have the one that's laying down, and the word soda is flowing out. And the concept behind that is that typically you walk in the grocery store, and your clearance aisle is all the way in the back, and all the beat up items are back there. Nobody wants to be bothered with that stuff. It's reduced price, the label's coming off, it's almost about to expire. That's the same thing I felt about us battered women. Nobody want to be bothered with us. We kind of push to the side. But when you take those can of beans home, or that soda, it's still good in the inside. Yeah, it's still good in the inside. It's got some scars, just like us. We may have some scars on the outside, but we're still good in the inside.
Okay. So, kind of rolling off what the person told you about, all you think about is soda. Mm-hmm. Are there any other endeavors that you're involved in outside of the organization itself?
No.
I understand you do write. You do write, don't you?
People have been asking me about writing a book. I have so much to tell. I have a lot to tell, and I have not yet. I'm not disciplined enough to do that. I'm an all over the type place person. Like, I have that type of, I'm everywhere. And they're like, well, you could just talk it. And I'm like, I would get bored with that, because I get bored very easily. So I just say until God tells me to sit down and write that book, I'll do it. But for now, I'm enjoying the journey of being able to go and speak. I love going to speak in public. I love it. It's like the best thing ever. I never saw myself as a speaker. You could have never told me that I would be speaking to anyone. I remember practicing in the mirror before soda was even birthed. And I would practice, hey, good evening, my name is Kendra Turner. I would do this all the time, not even knowing what I was being set up for.
Yeah.
I remember going to, I went to an event, and this lady says, can you write your full name down on a piece of paper? And I was with him, I was still married at the time. And I was like, okay, and I wrote it down, and she's crossing stuff. I kept the paper to this day. And she's crossing stuff, and she's circling, and she said, you're going to travel. She said, you're going to be speaking to women. She said, I'm not sure what you're speaking about, but you're going to travel, you're going to write books. And she was telling me all this stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm not thinking nothing of it. And she's like, and there's someone in your life that's causing you a lot of pain. And I'm looking across the room at him, and I'm just crying. It wasn't until 2 years later that I understood what she was talking about. And I ended up calling her to say, you probably don't remember me, but I started this organization. I do speak and I travel. And she said, I only told you what God told me to tell you. I tell people, I talk about my faith. I talk about God all the time, because truly this has nothing to do with me. He gets all of the glory. I just tell people, don't look at all of this, because I still have work to do on me. This is on him. I was just given an assignment. And I'm just fulfilling the assignment. I just had someone tell me the other day, Kendra, you're going to say things that people are not probably going to like. And I've been running across that here lately.
Okay.
When I made the comment about the cancer thing, and they said, well, they didn't like Jesus. They didn't like Malcolm X. They wasn't feeling Martin Luther King. People had something to say about the things I said. And I said, yeah. So you can't let that stop you from talking. And I will continue to talk as long as I can. I will continue to bring awareness. I advocate women from all over the United States. I may get calls, emails. I just helped a lady in Maryland. I'm in Atlanta. She was like, I have no place to go. I don't have any money to help these women. But what I will do, I will make a live video in the split second, and I will say, listen, I got a lady in XYZ. I need your help. I had a lady all the way in Chicago donate the money so this young lady can have a place to stay for a few more nights. That's how I operate. I may not have the resources from me directly, but I'm going to get on there and I'm going to do whatever I can to try to help, assist you in whatever way I can. Because I didn't have that network. I didn't, because again, I was ashamed. I didn't know where to turn to. I have a lot of women that say they don't know where to go. And then when they do, it's like, there's no room, there's no this, there's no that. So again, we got this, maybe I should just go back then because I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Okay. So let me switch gears for a second. Would you tell a 14-year-old Kendra if you saw her today?
Wow, what I would tell her? Do background checks.
Assuming they were available then.
I would tell her to be very careful. You know, I just made a video not too long ago about fatherless daughters in domestic violence. My father wasn't present that much, and he still isn't. And I feel that if he would have been around, I probably wouldn't be in the situation, the things that I went through, because I feel like I can call my daddy and tell my daddy what's going on. Maybe that man wouldn't have done the things that he did because of the fear of my father. At 14, I would be more, at 14, I was pretty much a good kid. I did very well in school. I didn't really get boy crazy till I was about 16. I grew up in not the best neighborhood, so I kind of gravitated to what was there. You know, my father was a hard-working man. Excuse me, he still is a hard-working man. He loves nice things, and that's the type of man I went to. My father loved women. I always got attached to men that loved women. I didn't know what a healthy relationship was because I didn't see it in my home. My parents were never married. The only healthy relationship I knew was my grandparents, who were married for over 50 years until my grandfather died. That was the only thing I knew about being a healthy relationship. So at 14, I really would be like, you know, take your time in getting to know who you are, trying to build a relationship, getting to know you more than anything. I think that's where I failed it a lot, you know, getting to I had a daughter at an early age. I had my first child at 18, and I had to grow up very fast. So from 14 to 18, I did the typical kid stuff, but I think a lot of times when I go back and think about it, I wish I did have my father present in my life, because then I would have probably made some better decisions, even going into being an adult woman.
Okay. Well, that's a great story. Let me ask you if there are any thoughts that you would leave with our audience, your audience, who is watching, who's listening right now. What would you say to them, not only about domestic abuse, not only about domestic violence, but in the auspice of going forward in things that they may be trapped inside of, like those types of relationships?
Yes.
What kind of encouraging words would you offer to those people?
Well, one thing I always stress, that there is life. There's life after any situation. I always say there's life after abuse.
With you.
Okay, my website is www.IamS.O.D.A. My Instagram is IamS.O.D.A. I'm on Facebook as Kendra Turner, and you'll know it's me because you'll see something dealing with domestic violence.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for allowing us to share your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We thank AC Hotels in Buckhead at Phipps Plaza, and we thank Inform Magazine. And at this point, you are informed with Inform Magazine. Talk to you later.